Chapel AME Church here in Ypsilanti, Michigan, where we are streaming live, where we like to say welcome home. This is the second oldest AME church in the state of Michigan. And so we welcome you here, our ancestors welcome you here, and our pastors welcome you here. Our Christian Social Action Committee is excited to host our first candidate forum along with the Social Action Committee of our sister church, Bethel AME Church in Ann Arbor, Michigan. The AME Church was founded on social action out of resistance to racial discrimination when Bishop Allen, our founder, and others were literally pulled off their knees while praying in a Methodist church. So we are not new to social action. We are true to social action as an AME church. The Christian Social Action Committee here at Brown Chapel was formed on July 15, 2021. However, social action started long before that. Social action and advocacy highlights from Brown Chapel include our Brotherhood Banquet that was organized to build community between races and creeds, our Good Samaritan Ministry, which has served as a food pantry for over 30 years in partnership with food gatherers. We've had a clothes closet. We have had mentoring and tutoring. And also every Sunday we give away free books because reading is fundamental to our future. For more information on the mission and vision statement of our Social Action Committee and how we serve this present age, please visit our website at bcamecy.org. And now I want to share our scripture with you. This is our overarching theme of our Christian Social Action Committee, and it comes from Micah chapter 6, verses 7 through 8. Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, 10,000 rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? He has shown you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? But to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Amen. At this time, I'm going to call up our pastor, Pastor Donald Phillips, and he will give us an opening prayer. Donald Lagar Phillips III.
Good afternoon, everyone. I certainly welcome you, and thank you so much, Reverend Adolberry, and to this Christian Social Action Committee and team, Sister Rhonda McGill, and all those who have helped put this together. We're excited to have you here at the Brown Chapel AME Church. 183 years of service to the city of Ypsilanti. I, along with the Reverend Dr. Talia Phillips, who's also in the room serving, are happy to host you all here at this event. Let us bow our heads in a word of prayer. We know different persons may be gathering from different creeds, so we'll take a moment and you can silence, but then we'll pray. Amen. Gracious God, we thank you so much for the opportunity to gather today and to hear from these candidates, these persons who have submitted themselves to service of community. We pray that Ypsilanti and this area would continue to flourish and to grow. We pray, Lord, that you would strengthen these persons with not only with their time, but with their heart and their spirit and how they are to serve. We thank you. Give us ears to hear. Not just platform, but purpose and understanding. Give us ears to hear and to discern how to move forward collectively in this community. We ask for your blessing upon every family represented here today. We thank you for all that you have done and all that will take place as we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Good morning, everyone. I am before you to introduce our moderators. Our first moderator has been a member of Brown Chapel AME Church since 1981, been in ordained ministry since 1997, also been involved in social action since registering students to vote while in college. They also had a bill introduced in Michigan legislature in 1988-89 to change the child labor laws that kept underage youth out of educational opportunities with pay, yet exempted those working in farms, working as caddies on the golf course, and delivering newspapers. We are speaking of Reverend Maymet Dolberry, who always says, "Let the work God has done through me speak for him." Our next introduction is for Sister Rhonda McGill. She has been a member of Brown Chapel AME Church for 27 years and currently serves as the co-chair of the Christian Social Action Committee. She brings a strong background in public service and civic engagement, having served as Superior Township trustee and currently serves as the secretary of the Washtenaw County Democratic Party Black Caucus. Professionally, Rhonda has spent her career in leadership roles within the mortgage industry, with expertise in affordable housing development, mortgage compliance, and marketing work that has given her a deep understanding of the issues that matter most to our community. Let's put our hands together today for our moderators. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm here to just give you guys a little bit of background about the purpose of this forum. This forum gives the Ypsilanti community a chance to hear directly from the candidates seeking your vote for this election for both the mayor and the city council. We did invite all candidates that were registered on the official list of candidates at the Washtenaw County Elections Office, and we thank each of you for responding. Our goal today is simple: to give every candidate a fair and equal opportunity to share their vision and to give you, the voters, the information you need to make an informed decision. This forum is a nonpartisan community service made possible by Brown Chapel AME, where we are led by our pastors, Reverend Donald and Reverend Dr. Talia Phillips, and co-sponsored by our sister church, Bethel AME of Ann Arbor, where they are under the leadership of their pastor, Reverend Mashad Evans, and our respective Christian Social Action committees. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to recognize any elected officials or community leaders who are with us this afternoon. If you are present, please stand. I don't think we have any here, and so we will move on. Well, you guys are already up there. So before we start, I just want to walk through the ground rules so that everyone and the candidates and the audience know what to expect. So we are going to make sure that we have equal time. Candidates will receive the same amount of time to speak, and we will keep close track of time, of making sure that time happens. Mr. Kahari Brown over there is going to be our timekeeper today, and so candidates pay close attention to him. Respectful dialogue. We ask that all candidates engage with respect for one another, the moderators, and for the community. No interruptions or personal attacks. Candidates are asked to let each other finish and to keep the focus on issues and not personal attacks. Time limits will be strictly enforced. We will use a visible timer and a timekeeper this afternoon. When you have 30 seconds, you will see a card. 30 seconds. And then when your time is up, you will also see a card letting you know that your time is up. As far as applause, we do know that we're excited to show our support, but we would like to ask the audience to please hold their applause until the end of the segment so that every candidate gets an equal, uninterrupted amount of time. We appreciate everyone's cooperation in keeping this forum fair, focused, and respectful. In the event that we go over, we do ask for your patience. However, if you must leave, you can definitely exit quietly. After the forum, we will have some time to grab some snacks, which will be available in our fellowship hall. So please feel free to say hello and fellowship amongst one another. However, we do ask, out of respect for our trustees, that we make our visit brief and allow them to get everything back in place so that we can be in here for service tomorrow morning. So with that being said, each candidate is going to have a couple of minutes to introduce themselves and share why they are seeking office. And they're going going to speak to what they believe is the most pressing issue that's facing Ypsilanti today. The mayor and the city council will be allowed 90 seconds to respond to each of the questions, and if necessary, they will have a 30-second opportunity for rebuttal. We also will have some time to open up the floor for community questions, and there will be some that may be coming in online and some that will come in physically. We will have a couple of people that will be running, and they will collect cards from you. So if you have a card that you have a question, just hold it up and someone will grab it from you. And then when we are complete, we will make sure that each candidate has the opportunity for a closing segment, a closing statement. So with that being said, let's get started, and I'll ask each of the candidates. We're going to go straight across, and I'm starting with Mayor Brown to do their 2-minute introduction. Please share your name, why you're running, and what you see as the most pressing issue facing Ypsilanti as a part of your introduction.
All right. Hello. Oh, okay, awesome. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nicole Brown, and I am running for re-election as mayor of Ypsilanti. I have had the honor of serving in that capacity for the last 3.5-ish years. I started my work as a young person in this community who didn't really know where I fit in terms of civic engagement. But due to having really wonderful, engaged parents, I joined a youth group in Ypsilanti called Ypsilanti Youth Empowered to Act that really taught me about what it means to be civically engaged, and as well as, mapping what was happening in the community for young people. Through that time, I graduated from high school and attended Eastern Michigan University to get both my Bachelor's of Social Work and Master's of Social Work, and was able to then take over said program and work with young people before being hired by Ozone House to be their outreach coordinator in downtown Ypsi, and was able to take young folks to city council to share some of those same observations that young people were having many years later that hadn't been addressed within the city and within the city council. A few years after that, I was approached by an outgoing city council member who was moving, and he came to me and said, "Hey, you're young, you have a voice, and I think you should run for my seat." I was not necessarily interested in that at the time. I wanted to be a therapist. But after, sitting in prayer, talking with my parents, thinking about how social work really connected to being civically engaged, I decided to throw my hat in the ring and was successful in that race and became the youngest person ever elected in the city of Ypsilanti in 2014 to the city council. 30 seconds. All right. Well, moving forward in 2022, decided to run for mayor and was successful in that endeavor. And currently, after wrapping up this first term as mayor, the continued focus is on housing access, resilient neighborhoods, economic growth and health equity, and local infrastructure. We know that Ypsilanti is on the precipice of greatness, and we just need to continue the work to make sure that we get to, the next phase for Ypsi. So I'm happy to answer questions later. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Check, check. 1 minute, 2 minutes? Great. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amber Fellows. I'm a city council member at the city of Ypsilanti, and I just want to thank Brown Chapel AME for putting this together. It's wonderful to be here. Rhonda and everyone that organized the event. It's just an honor to be among you and hear about the background and history of what all of you do, and I've been moved by hearing about the collectivity and the social action programs and all the accomplishments of folks here. It just really, I don't know, I love this community so much because the people here truly care and really put in the work to progress social issues. We are at the fulcrum of so many things, and we have many Goliaths coming at us, and we never fail to step up. We never fail to push forward, and it just is really cool to be here among everybody. And just related to social action, I do want to mention I did bring a bunch of masks here today if people do not have masks because the skies are burning, and tomorrow we're going to have more smoke again. And if someone in this neighborhood would be open to co-hosting with me to do mass distribution somewhere, I would be very happy to do that. So just talk to me after this debate today. So just a little bit about me. I am a 25-year resident of Ypsilanti. I'm an EMU alum. I'm 43 years old, Japanese American. I have been, involved in city politics for a little over 10 years now. I was first on the Human Relations Commission in 2016, and that's kind of where I got started with city politics. I got 30 30 seconds to share that, in that time, that decade, I've been fighting hard for this community. I've turned a lot of the progressive values in the community into actual solid action and material wins. I have secured historic affordable housing as a lead negotiator at Dorsey Estates. I have found $1.6 million in budget savings at the city. I have, helped people free from ICE detention. I have created ways. Okay, and we're at time. We'll talk more. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Bryan Foley. I'm running for First Ward Representative City Council here in the city of Ypsilanti. I decided to run because the community asked me to run, city asked me to run. And I've been asked to run for city council for almost close to 25 years. I decided to take up the mantle this time because I was engaged in a community violence intervention nonprofit organization. I got to see what was happening in our community firsthand and get to meet a lot of people I had never met before. But I've been engaged officially in city government for close to 10 years. Currently, I sit as a DDA board member, a sustainability board member, a Washtenaw County public millage commissioner oversighting that millage. I'm a former CBO, CBA commissioner and a former bicentennial commissioner. I've been engaged in our community for years. One of the first things we got involved in was we created an initiative of getting water to Flint. So we loaded up truckload after truckload after truckload and getting water to Flint. I helped build a recording studio in Park Ridge Community Center. I got a new basketball court built in Park Ridge Park. I got a new softball diamond put into Park Ridge Park, new pavilion, and also a member of the Park Ridge Summerfest Committee. So what I believe is one of the most pressing issues in the city of Ypsilanti that I would like to address is safety. We want to create a safety and a sustainable atmosphere, not simply for our business district, but throughout the entire community, so everyone can feel safety and feel healthy and be able to visit our town and our neighborhoods without being impeding on their livelihood. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Patrick McLean. I'm really happy to. How about now? All right. Start again. Hi. I'm being told to shove it in my mouth, huh? Okay. Well, it's a real pleasure to be here today. I'm Patrick McLean. I'm a 20-plus year resident of Ypsilanti. I've spent about 30 years of my life either in local government or working with people who are elected to local government or in academia talking to students about local government. And it matters. It matters greatly. And it matters in this community because we are, frankly, I think at a crossroads. I could make a case for Ypsilanti going forward that looks like a wonderful place. I can also make a case for Ypsilanti sliding into some real challenges. And if you're following affairs in this community, that I know many of you have been, you know that we have housing challenges, we have public safety challenges. We're not supporting our businesses in the way that we need to, and the vibrancy of downtown. We're not taking care of all of our communities equally. And so we need to have people who have experience on those issues on city council, and I think I bring some of that with me. I do want to also say, if I could, kind of a point of personal privilege here is to say I'm really thrilled to be here specifically because I got to see my friend Don Phillips and his lovely wife, Reverend Dr. Leah Phillips. I worked with both of them in Albion College when I was down there for 8 years running a public policy institute. And Pastor Phillips and I had a chance to work on MLK programs every year down there, which was wonderful. But I have to say that pales in comparison to the role that his wife played, who basically saved my life. And as my doctor pointed out a couple of serious health issues that I had. And so it's great to be back here and see her And if anybody has any questions about doctors saving lives, I am living testimony right now and here today to her power to do that for people. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I did write something out, and I think it addresses the questions that asked, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. Many people ask, who am I? Perhaps it's because I'm quiet, thoughtful, and I spend more time listening and observing than seeking attention. But make no mistake, I am here, and I have always been here. Nothing has taken me away from my community. I am a lifelong resident of Ypsilanti. I was raised here in Ward 1. And I chose to raise my children here in Ypsilanti as well, in a neighborhood that many people lovingly call the South Side of Ypsilanti. My commitment to this community is not new. It's been built over years and a lifetime for me of living here, raising my family here and standing with my neighbors. Ypsilanti is my home and will always be. I'm a proud graduate of Ypsilanti Public Schools, Washtenaw Community College, Eastern Michigan, and University of Michigan. University of Michigan, where I received my master's in social work. My education and professional experiences led me to dedicate my career to serving some of our most vulnerable populations, working through social service systems. As I gained experience, mentors and colleagues and community members began to encourage me to run for office. Their confidence in my leadership prompted me to reflect on my meaningful and lasting change that I had created. I came to realize that I have 30 seconds, okay? So I think two of the most important issues here in the city of Ypsilanti is safety and housing. That is what I get a lot of phone calls about. I am connected to the community. I reach out when the community calls, and I try to solve those problems with the community in mind. Thank you.
Media team, I just want to make sure that the microphones for all of our candidates usually stay on. That's how we do it on Sunday, and then you mute, so you don't have to worry about touching anything other than picking up the microphone and talking, okay? So now, everybody want to just exhale for a minute before we get started? Okay, yes. Yes.
Check. Hello.
Patrick? Everybody should
Check.
be muted at
Check.
this point.
Hello?
Nope. Yeah, just give it a second.
1, 2.
Yeah. And don't beat yourself up if you accidentally hit the button. I do it too, even though it happens, because we're so used to doing that. So the other thing I want to say is, candidates, if you look up here, you also see a time clock, okay, in addition to Dr. Brown over here. All right, we are going to start, and let me tell you how this is going to go. I'm going to be questioning the mayoral candidates. You all will get the same question, and then Rhonda will be giving the questions to the city council candidates. So we're going to alternate like that, back and forth, okay? Now, which one of you goes first, that's up to you, okay? You all can debate that. Okay. All right, so first question, before I even get started, let me just say to Mr. McLean that Reverend Dr. Talia is not only in the life-saving business when it comes to physical health, but when it comes to spiritual health as well. Okay, so the first question is regarding homelessness and housing stability. So our unhoused neighbors here in Ypsilanti are part of this village, as we all are. What is one concrete action that you will take or have taken in your first year to bring them back into housing and community? So you all decide who's going to answer.
Okay, we're back. Okay, so this is a critical issue for me because it affects my direct community. My loved ones, my peers, are falling into homelessness in Ypsilanti. Housing insecurity has always been a factor in my life. I was a renter here for 18 years before becoming a homeowner. And that is what activated me around city politics, because I was facing a lot of rising costs and intimidation from landlords that were becoming very powerful in Ypsilanti, and the city government didn't seem to be responding to any of those issues. And so I was getting together with other tenants that were my neighbors and starting to talk, like, what is going on here? Like, why is the conditions changing so much? And why are some of us falling into homelessness? So it's very personal to me. And it's largely why I have feel that we need new leadership, because I do feel leadership has failed for the last 10 years on this topic. The first thing that I did after becoming council member in 2024 was to bring a resolution to create a permanent shelter in Ypsilanti and to partner with the county to do that. And that was January of 2025. We still don't have a shelter here. It's a problem. There is a clear path forward. We need to work with both the Shelter Association, we need to work with the county, we need to work with community partners here, and we need to actually come to the table all together, because there has been kind of a gatekeeping going on in leadership that has made this process very stagnant. There's been more talk about what we can't do than what we can do.
All right, thank you. So yes, housing is an issue across not only this city, this county, this country. And so there have been many things that have already been done, but a concrete action that's in the works currently is that we have been working with the county to identify a location for a permanent shelter. And there is a location that has been identified that the county is working to purchase. The city is not a fiduciary partner, or nor are we putting funds into that, so we do not have a direct say, but the collaboration with the Shelter Association and the county has been happening, and we've actually toured the location and are hoping that this piece happens to move it forward. And so hopefully by end of this year, there will be a location that will be retrofitted for shelter space in the county. That is not a purchase that the city is making, but the county is working to do that. The city cannot solve homelessness on our own. We know that. And so we have worked to bring housing online. There's been over 350 units of housing brought into the city of Ypsilanti in the last 4 years. That is not by happenstance. That is by dedicated and committed work with partners, private and public, to make that accessible. The more housing we have, the lower the price for housing comes down, and the more people have ability to be housed. As well as we need long-term permanent supportive housing options in our communities as well. And I see my time is running out, but that collaboration with the Shelter Association, along with bringing housing stock back onto the market, redeveloping property, those are the steps. And so my goal is to continue that work for a permanent shelter and continue collaborating with our partners to bring housing online.
Thank you for that. I'm sorry, you want to do a rebuttal? 30 seconds. Sure.
We have problems now. We should have had this permanent shelter already. It's been nearly 2 years since that resolution. The conversations at the county have been almost nothing. And there's been several suggestions starting from 10 years ago, but there was a lot of action at the county with Shelter Now in 2023. So the fact that we don't have this now is an indication of kind of the poor coordination going on in leadership. We have encampments right now that are big sore spots for communities like Bell Kramer, and we need to talk about that issue more.
Okay, moving into the city council group. This is also around housing and homelessness. So the question is, how should city council balance compassion for individuals experiencing homelessness with the concerns about public spaces, business districts, and neighborhood quality of life? If we can start on this end with Mr. Foley and work down.
Thank you for that question. I mentioned I work with the nonprofit, and pretty much the nonprofit that I work with, we deal with returning citizens or persons who have been convicted of a crime, who had felonies, and they could not find housing, and a lot of landlords wouldn't rent to them because they're criminal past, what have you. So I had to navigate the systems to go ahead and find people housing, temporary shelter, and permanent housing. And what I found out in this community is that, in particular in our county, there is a lot of opportunities for housing, but we have to make sure that Ypsilanti residents get the first attention first. I believe in people who need the most help should get help the most. So what we have to do, I believe, is that as a city and being on city council is to make sure that the resources are available here, that make sure that our residents of the city of Ypsilanti get first access to that instead of other people coming in and take advantage of the resources. And then when we need opportunity, there's nowhere for us to go. Time is up. Okay.
If I can just say, do we have 90 minutes or 60?
90 seconds.
He only has 60.
Oh, I was looking at the clock.
Ignore that one because it should be, go for it. Go ahead. It should be-
That's okay. Yep. And as far as homelessness, I believe there's 3 degrees of homelessness. Those who are generally homeless, those who choose to be, and then those who choose to come downtown and give the appearance of they have nowhere else to go. And then a lot of behaviors are created behind that, and a lot of misunderstanding about who those people are, and a lot of negative perspective is put on people who really need help, and then they get caught up in the system. So we really need to address and help the people who really are homeless and get them. Resources are available. We just got to get them to it.
I'll echo a number of comments that Mr. Foley just made, but I would say we certainly have to recognize that there is a role for different community actors in different community situations. Public safety is a critical issue in lots of our neighborhoods, in places where encampments are next door to neighbors and neighborhoods, in our downtown area sometimes, and one of my early efforts to address this issue was met with certain people coming and shutting down city council when I had the temerity to suggest that perhaps the police had at least a role to play in keeping certain behaviors out of the public sphere. We had people that were openly selling drugs in areas. We had people engaging in sexual acts in the middle of the day downtown. We had people throwing feces at storefronts. And I thought, there is a role for the police. And there is an element in this community that thinks that it's not okay to ever call the police. And so we need to have that kind of a conversation, I think, and what role the police do play. With regard to housing, one other issue that I don't have time to mention, but the best way to keep people from needing housing is to make sure they don't lose their house in the first place. I hope I have a chance to talk about RX Kids as one of those programs in the future when I have other time and other conversations.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. With the microphone. How should City Council balance compassion for individuals experiencing homelessness with concerns about public spaces, business districts, and neighborhood quality of life?
Thanks for the question. I would say one situation that I am actively taking the lead on is the Bill Kramer situation, where we do have a few unhoused camps over there. I think the city of Ypsilanti, we should balance it by having balance. We know we have unhoused camps all over the city of Ypsilanti, but the one over at Bill Kramer is right outside of a neighborhood. And those neighbors in that area, the taxpaying residents, have told us that they have had many issues with that camp being there. So one solution that I tried to make was a resolution to ask those unhoused residents to move to another camp in the city of Ypsilanti. While we do not have an authorized camp, I think it should be balanced and compassion. Just because we're saying, hey, move to another area, that doesn't mean we are without compassion. So I think another way that we are trying to handle the unhoused situation is more housing initiatives. We have Dorsey Estates, we have Avalon Housing, and the apartments over Huron Vista on Clark Road. Thank you.
Thank you all. This question, again, we're back to the mayoral candidates, has to do with data centers and economic development. The city, I understand, has paused data center development. When that pause ends, how will you make sure that any deal serves the village, our water, our children's future, and not just outside interests.
So we do have the moratorium in place, and I think that that was very important. I think the thing that we have to do next is to make sure that if we do not extend that, or if we do not choose to bring legislation to really monitor the appeal for data centers in Ypsilanti, is that we make sure that we force transparency, we force accountability, and we make sure that anyone who wants to come into our community to develop anything has to really answer to the community and the community's needs. In terms of, the elephant in the room, the Los Alamos data center, Ypsilanti has said, by and large, we do not want it in Ypsilanti or Ypsilanti Township or anywhere in our surrounding areas. And I think it's despicable to try to take advantage of the eastern side of the county in this way. I've worked with Township Supervisor Brenda Stumbo when they were working on their resolution, and with trustees to try to further that and bring that over to Ypsilanti for us to support them in that effort. Also with the Yucca moratorium. We should not be putting economic development before the public health of our community. And so the goal would be to make sure there's legislation to hold whoever those developers accountable to this community, and make sure that the needs of our constituents and my neighbors are put forward once this moratorium is lifted, if we do not continue to extend it.
Yes, I'm doing it again. I'm sorry. So I am really proud to say that the community in Ypsilanti has been working fiercely on this issue since the beginning. I first heard about this issue in late 2024, and was kind of appalled to hear that our state legislature and appropriations committees have lined up to give Los Alamos U of M data center $100 million of our tax dollars to put a data center in our community that not only would pay no taxes, nothing, no taxes, no state use taxes that would fund our public schools, no local taxes, would bring no jobs, but it would also bring Los Alamos, a federal contractor, weapons contractor for nuclear weapons. And that to me was just a bridge too far. As a Japanese American, my family endured the war and the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and that is unacceptable to me, that we would be a part of that history here in Ypsilanti. So I worked with movement folks in the community. We made a resolution called Mayors for Peace that signed Ypsilanti up for the global initiative for the total abolition of nuclear weapons. It also formally opposed the Los Alamos Data Center. It identified all stakeholders, all choke points, moved all of our resources to outreaching our leadership. And I'm proud today that with that resolution and another resolution I wrote for a year-long moratorium, which is the first one in the state, it was accepted by council, it was accepted by the community, and now Yucca and the township are on board too, and we're working together. It's great.
Thank you. My question for the City Council is taking a pivot over to public safety, mental health, and community relations. How should the city respond when someone is in a mental health crisis, and what role should alternative response programs, mental health crisis teams, or community violence intervention play in Ypsilanti's public safety strategy? This time, can we start with Ms. King?
Absolutely. Thanks for the question. What role should we play? I'm proud to say that the current City Council passed a resolution to set $1 million aside so we can focus on unarmed response. All the calls will still go through the Washtenaw County, and they will determine whether that call is a police call or unarmed response. I think those calls should be handled with compassion and care, understanding that mental health is a crisis, not only in our community, but in communities surrounding. I believe every resident deserves to feel safe in their home without feeling like the police is coming to attack them, and we know in some situations also trigger them. So I think the community unarmed response is the way to go. I think CVI teams that are here already should be standing up and doing more in the community, because we don't want to have a community where we are continuing to add names to the Rose Wall downtown Ypsilanti. Thank you.
First, I would say this has to be collaborative. Am I on? Yeah. It has to be collaborative. It has to be regional. There's a significant need for having both people that can respond to situations that are potentially a public safety threat and other situations where it's more appropriate to bring perhaps social workers or those that are more in tune with the needs of someone having a mental health crisis. We need to have both. One of the critical elements, and I have said this publicly multiple times, one of the critical elements of any alternative response program is in the dispatch. When calls are made, there has to be someone trained and trained well to know whether or not this is a call that requires police response or whether it requires social worker response, right? or unarmed, what we've called the unarmed response. And because if we don't do that right, that's a recipe for having a couple of social workers injured or worse. And so to me, we need to do it the right way, and making sure that that dispatch function is well-trained, well-equipped to be able to say, all right, if a situation gets out of hand, that we've got backup. There were calls for an unarmed response where people just decide, hey, I want to call social workers instead. That's not appropriate. That's dangerous. And so I want to see it done with both options, but I want it done right.
I have to echo Councilperson McLean's sentiments correctly. As I mentioned before, I'm a part of a CVI team. CVI works. It does. I've received many calls to respond, right? But I also now know where not to respond to. We have a very good police force. We have a very good police chief, Chief Tim Anderson. City of Ypsilanti responds very, very well to responses where there are mental health, substance abuse, and domestic violence issues going on. That's why you don't hear a lot of complaints or see complaints against the City of Ypsilanti, because they're trained and know what they do. One of the worst things that can happen with someone, whatever their profession is to respond to a mental health or a substance abuse or a domestic crisis. Then they end up becoming the victim themselves or end up victimizing somebody. You'll never see a police officer go on a call when it involves a domestic abuse issue. They always go with two, because when they respond to a crisis, what ends up happening a lot of times is who you go to protect and who you go to serve end up turning on you. And you can have a whole community turn on you because you're coming out there to help somebody in a crisis and you don't understand what's going on. So what we need to do is invest those funds into our police department so that they will have training to know how to respond to these issues.
Thank you. My question is similar also for the mayoral candidates. After the Cross Street incident, we know that trust was wounded. How will you build accountability between police and the City of Ypsilanti? And will you fully support the unarmed crisis response?
Yes, unequivocally. So I'm going to disagree and say there isn't a consensus on the YPD and sheriff just being great and doing a good job because of the Cross Street siege. That's a big incident that happened this year. 30-hour police siege on an entire neighborhood for a black man experiencing a mental health crisis. How is that okay? His home is destroyed. He's still in psychiatric detention almost a year later. It's ridiculous. I was the council member that did demand that we drop the charges against the victim of the Cross Street siege. I didn't get support from council at the time based on that we need to let an investigation play out fair. It's 7 months later. There is no additional information. We have no reason to believe that this won't happen again because we are not holding our local enforcement accountable. So what would I do? I would make sure that we have timeline requirements for getting report backs from investigations. We need to see what actually happened. We need to have an easier way to access body cam footage, police reports, and make it transparent to the community. We are, a small PD. I understand there's always more work to do all the time, but if we're not being transparent and accountable to, police violence and things that go wrong, then people in the community cannot trust our law enforcement, and that's just a fact.
Yes. Just for clarity's sake.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I was like, what's happening? Okay. So, again, public safety is broader than just policing. We recognize that. When calls come in for service and support, we want to get it right the first time. So I do support an unarmed and alternative responder program. I think as we're going through this process of, research with the LEAP program, and they're giving us information, what we have found is that currently we have the crew unit with the county, the crisis response unit, that has a deputy and close to plainclothes partnered with a social worker. But we only have 2 of those in the county. One is specifically for Ypsilanti Township, the other is for countywide. And so one of the conversations that's been happening with our director of CMH as well as our sheriff is creating a crew unit for the city of Ypsilanti proper and training our officers in that model. I think we have to have increased training. No matter what we do, when we fund an unarmed response team, we also still have to continue to invest in our PD, in our police department, because it's not going away. And there are calls that are going to require a traditional law enforcement response. And so it's a both and, it's not an either or. And I think this conversation has been very polarized around what is most important, but I know that we need both of them. And so I support both factions with additional support financially, as well as training support for our department, as well as the outcome of the unarmed response team research that we're getting from LEAP.
So I did write the budget resolution to move that $1 million to an unarmed community responder program because of the issues that we're having, because of the demands from the community for the last 10 years. This is something that I feel is actually quite different from my counterpart and I. Mayor Brown ran on creating an unarmed crisis response team in 2022 and did not make any meaningful changes towards that goal. Talked about getting a social worker in the police department, but that did not materialize. So we need leadership that will actually make the promises and commit to them and get them done.
I just have to name, we made strides and made attempts to hire a social worker. We couldn't get one hired because social workers came to us and said, number one, you cannot pay us enough to go out to these calls without support, number one. And there was not enough funding in our budget to equip multiple individuals to work in that space. We have worked alongside the county to expand the crew unit, but again, when funds have become available, now they are being moved. The funds were not there. $1 million was not available at that time to move to this for this program. The reality is, we don't know what the research is going to be when it comes back from LEAP, but we will move forward with what we get from them to move it forward.
Thank you. I know that there was a comment that you made after Mr. Foley, so I will allow him a 30-second rebuttal to your.
I don't know if City Council Fellows said this or was combining the two, but there's a separation. Ypsilanti Police Department is not Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department. There's a difference between those two agencies. So the actions and the behaviors that the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department did should not be confused with the good work that the City of Ypsilanti Police Department. The Washtenaw County Sheriff's Department had a wolf pack here that went out and killed a white man who they thought they was black, and I do not want that misconstrued with the works that the City of Ypsilanti does here.
Thank you for that. So for the City Council, I'm going to move into equity and community. How would you ensure that residents from all neighborhoods and backgrounds have a voice in city decisions? And how should the city engage residents before deciding on major development for housing or public safety initiatives? And we will start with Mr. McLean.
Thank you for the question. You know, if anyone is looking at campaign material, you'll notice that my committee is called Patrick McLean for all of Ypsilanti. I understand that I represent Ward 2, and I'm running to represent Ward 2 again. But nonetheless, I take my responsibilities seriously, that everybody in Ypsilanti needs to be represented, everybody needs to be included in decision-making, and everybody needs to have outcomes that are fair. And so that's my personal commitment to the entire city. Now, I think one of the areas we've talked about leadership. One of the things that I think Mayor Brown has been exceptional in is hearing from everyone, right? And so making sure that we have city processes that allow everyone to speak, that allow everyone to have a voice. And if you come down there, we've gotten criticized because we don't want our meetings to go until 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I dare say we don't do our best work at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning. But nonetheless, Mayor Brown has shown this leadership, and I believe at its base, it is a commitment to equity. And I want to be supportive of that and of her doing that, making sure that everyone is heard.
Councilmember King.
So I think this is important. I think getting the residents involved is 100% important. And I think this is where I have soared at for the last 3.5 years. I tried to get the community involved by posting the agenda on social media sites. Every one that I have, I text people. I go to neighborhood association meetings. I volunteer at the senior centers. I let them know what's going on. I let them know what will be on our agenda. And I invite them to come and have a voice in our community. I let them know that it doesn't only have to be in person. They can call our clerk. They can submit a public comment by email, and the clerk will read that email to the entire council during the meeting. So I have tried very hard to get people engaged in the process, because I know the decisions that we are making here at the local level are affecting the residents here in the city of Ypsilanti. Thank you.
Community engagement is very important, and I must say, up underneath the leadership of not only Mayor Brown, but also our city manager, Andrew Halinga, and his staff have been doing very good. There now is a social media site where everything that is happening in the city of Ypsilanti is broadcast, and you have easy access to it all the time, and also residents can engage. I've always, like I said, been engaged with the city in some form or another, so I've built relationships over the years with each department head and many employees, and been able to talk to them one-on-one. My motto is do the work, but it says for all the people. I am running for Ward 1 representative, but don't ever get it confused, right? That I'm there to represent people who look like me and my demographic first, because I truly believe that people who need the most help should get help the most. But however, I am here to help the entire city and whatever they need help, and I do receive those questions to get those things done. So it's very important that we engage, but it's more important that we have a city council that is open to hearing everybody and not shutting other people down because they don't necessarily agree with their political ideology, and shutting people down at City Hall where people cannot talk. So community engagement is very important, and we've experienced a really uptick of engagement with the current city council, in particular our mayor and other persons, but also with the management staff of the city of Ypsilanti.
Thank you. Sure.
I just want to ask the question. It's not an attack. I'm just asking a question for clarity. My opponent just stated he wanted to do the work for all the people. I know recently when he stated on social media why he was running, he stated that his base is white people. And so that makes me wonder, are you really here to do the work for all the people, or is it Ward 1?
So we're not going to go into any personal attacks. We won't allow that. But and whatever has happened on social media is not happening here. So I really want us to stick to the questions that are being laid out, and only rebuttals to the questions. So if you have a rebuttal specifically to the question, that's fine. No, I'm just saying we're not talking directly between the candidates. So the candidates need to just respond to the questions only.
And that's fine. I guess my question was, who is all of the people?
All of the residents of the city of Ypsilanti. City of Ypsilanti is 55% white and 24% black, and there is other ethnicities. So when it says all the people, that includes all the people. All means everything. It is not exclusive of anyone.
Thank you. Okay, my question for the mayoral candidates has to do with the Ypsilanti Community Schools. course, we know it takes a village to raise a child. How will City Hall be a true partner to Ypsilanti Community Schools, especially for our most vulnerable children?
Well, I think that, the work will continue to support Ypsilanti Community Schools. In my time on City Council, I've been a strong supporter of our community schools and partnering with our superintendent as well as, staff, teachers in the classroom. If the schools call, I am coming. I spend time in the classrooms reading to students. I help to advocate for the removal of the debt to support our district that was, plaguing YCS for many, many, many moons. And then since then have been a strong advocate for YCS in the community. Wherever I go, I talk about Ypsilanti. I talk about the programs that are not being shared, that they are growing. I talk about the young people and their talents and their skills. And so the goal would be to continue to do that, to continue to be an advocate and a supporter of YCS, but also to continue to be present to make sure that not only the staff and the employees, but our young people know who their representatives are and how the things that impact them day to day and their families day to day are connected to the role that city government plays. And so, yes, just to continue to be present, because while we don't have any jurisdiction over the school district, partnering with the school board and our superintendent has always been at the top of the list, because we know that our young people have to live in this community as well. And so we need Ypsilanti to be a place where they can also thrive and their families can thrive, to also increase enrollment in our school district, because there are kids who are missing out right now because Ypsi is the bomb. Thank you.
So, yes, our schools, our teachers, our students are amazing. I do think we need to be a little bit more than just present. Even though we are different governmental jurisdictions and authorities, what happens in the city of Ypsilanti affects people at YCS. And so one of the ways we could support YCS is by building more affordable housing so that teachers could live in, because they are facing affordability crisis as well. We could also support our students by investing in our neighborhoods, investing into programs that actually help build opportunity and expose students to more, things in life besides of maybe what they have traditionally felt in their community. We have to talk about the facts. 26% of YCS students are homeless. That is a really, really high number. It's 1 in 4 students. Some years, there is not a single YCS graduate that is accepted or enrolled at U of M, our neighboring community. We have deep economic and ethnic segregation between Ypsilanti and Ann Arbor, between Michigan Avenue, and YCS is impacted by this too because of the school system, how it's set up. Our taxes, whatever they are in Ypsilanti, affects how well funded our schools are. So we need to become a little bit more integrated so we actually address these issues and bring more opportunity to children. RX Kids is another great thing. The mayor did support as well. I supported it as well to bring more opportunity to families here.
Yes, beyond being in the schools, supporting the school districts means being someone who helped to bridge the gap between EMU and our school district so that now our students can go to Eastern. That is something that I had a hand in connecting our new president to our superintendent. The city is also under, back when Mayor Edmonds was in office, we created the mini grants program that directly funded youth-serving organizations that were supporting our young people in this community who attend YCS to further their programs and support, giving them alternative things to do that keep them safe, that have them learning, and are having them in front of good mentorship and spaces that are safe for young people in our community. So it's more than showing up, it's actionable items as well.
Thank you. And for the city council members, I do also have a question around Ypsilanti Community Schools. Ypsilanti Community Schools depends on state per pupil funding, yet city decisions, tax abatements, brownfield deals, and development that grows or shrinks the tax base affect our school revenue. So when a developer asks for a tax break, how will you weigh what it may cost our schools? And we can start with Mr. Foley.
That's a very, very good question. And I must be honest and open that on that level, working with Ypsilanti Community Schools, I haven't been engaged with this as much. Mine has been engaging with the families. But whatever developer wants to do within Ypsilanti Community Schools, we have to make sure that whatever they're doing will be sustainable to our children in the future and not just for today. meaning that also that some of the revenue that will be expenditure that will also come back into our tax base so that we can continue to grow our city in itself. So we have to work together with the developers. There has to be complete transparency in all the contracts that are knowing what's going on and make sure we're aware of what we're signing and what we're receiving and what's going on. As I said, I'm not going to sit up here and blow smoke up anybody's behind on what I do not know. But what I would like to see is for the city of Ypsilanti to get more engaged into the building trades and teaching our young men and our young women actually how to utilize tools and prepare them for tomorrow's economy, because right now they are not prepared for it. There's thousands of jobs literally going on across the state of Michigan where our children are not prepared to enter into the construction workforce. So if I had anything to comment on the Ypsilanti Community Schools, I think that's where they need to share a lot of their focus into there. Thank you.
Whenever there are tax abatements that are going to affect our schools or others, or any tax abatement that's going to take away potentially a tax stream from anybody, we should be looking at the very details and figure out, are the benefits of whatever is being proposed greater than the costs? And if there are significant costs and those costs take place over a long period of time, we need to look at that as well. And sometimes there are ways to structure deals that will have it both ways, so that you make sure that you make the school district, for example, whole. I see that in my work with the state legislature in Ohio for years. There was often sensitivity to that, and appropriately so, and we should have that same sensitivity. On education more broadly, I think this is a great question, and it recognizes that, in fact, we have to stop being so siloed, right? We are in, people say, well, this is city council, city hall, they work on these issues, and the Board of Education works over on these issues. We need to be together. We need to be in lockstep. I am a parent, proud parent of a son that went through Ypsilanti Public Schools, and today I'm happy to say he is off taking photographs at an HBCU event down in New Orleans. And Ypsi Public Schools, I remember the time the teacher said, you know, your son would do well with a camera, and he named it Cameron, and off he went. But I also think we need to have internships. Right, very specifically, we got to focus on that, and that ties in with what Mr. Foley was talking about, providing those kind of job opportunities.
We know that families choose communities based in part on school systems. So when families choose schools like Ypsilanti High School or any of the Ypsi public schools, we know that strengthens our community. I have supported and always will continue to support the public school system, number one, because we know that they're behind. They're behind in finances and in education. I frequently go to the board meetings. I frequently volunteer in the school system, going to field days, plays, just all kind of things. I read to the schools. So I think it's important that when tax abatements do come, that we make sure we make the right decision, a decision that prioritizes the students. Because again, we know Ypsilanti community schools are already behind, and that is important to keep raising them up. We know strong schools help attract families and again, strengthen neighborhoods. So that partnership with regular communication with city council and the school system, I think we could benefit from, and that is something that I have been working to merge together, Ypsilanti Public Schools and the city council. Thank you.
Thank you. And this is the last question. From Rhonda and I, we do have some questions that are online. This is regarding the Women's Huron Valley Correctional Facility. Crystal Clark and other women at the facility have suffered and some have died. I will say their names: Kiara Howard, Rebecca Feckler, Ashley Holt, and Delphina Jones between May 13, 2026 and July 2nd, 2026. These women are part of our village too in Ypsilanti. And as a mayor, how will you use your voice and your office to demand accountability for their conditions and what is going on at Huron Valley?
Huron Valley Women's Correctional Facility is just another example of kind of the multi-level failures going on in our criminal justice system, in our carceral system. It is a tragedy that so many women have been suffering in these conditions, and some have perished, all in a span of a couple months, and that our governor, Gretchen Whitmer, is not taking action to, look into this issue seriously and to help Crystal Clark. It is disgusting, actually. I'm really proud of this community. Trisha Duckworth and many other advocates have been going every Wednesday to the prison to bring more attention to this issue, to bring more attention to news outlets, and it's been an incredible force of what this community is willing to do to attend to the issues of, the criminal justice system failing us. That place is poisoned. It needs to shut down. I will definitely use my council member position, but if as mayor, it's a much more powerful megaphone to bring that issue to a front to our leadership in Lansing. That needs to be changed.
Thank you for the question. Yes, I have been using my bully pulpit in this way, in making contact with our lieutenant governor, trying to connect folks to Crystal's family, with Trisha, because Women's Huron Valley is abhorrent. It needs to be shut down. It's been a lot. And so I think that what's most important is that while we don't have direct authority over the prison, is again to use your platform. And so even when I was invited to come and visit Crystal Clark, they barred me from going because they didn't want us to see the state of the prison, and so I was not let in. But our state representatives were able to go in, and so I've been in communication with our state reps who have been into the prison, as well as with Felicia Braybeck, who biweekly goes into the prison, and so continuing to lobby and advocate for Crystal Clark's release, number one, but really for that prison to be shut down, because no one should have to live in those conditions and also not get the care that they deserve. And so continuing to do that, continuing to advocate, continuing to be a supporter, continuing to make connection with those who need to hear information about what's happening there. I've also been on weekly calls with the MDOC leaders, where they're giving us updates on what's been happening in the prisons, and then sharing that information out in the community so people know what's happening, because they don't want people to know.
I just have to point out, we can't necessarily trust that the mayor will use a bully pulpit to demand change, because, Mayor Brown did not use a platform to demand charges being dropped against Ruben Peeler after 30-hour police siege. Has not done that to this day. So we have passed resolutions as a council asking for change at Huron Valley Women's Prison, but that is not enough. We need to do much more than that, and I would expect more from our mayor to do.
Rebuttal, Ms. Brown.
Again, when that resolution came, we were instructed by legal counsel that we did not have enough information. Council has received additional information, and now there's pending litigation, which is why we cannot speak to what is happening with that case. It is not about what I believe personally. It's about, again, my role in stewarding the community and the city and keeping us out of litigation issues, but knowing that I've been working with our partners, working with our sheriff, working with our police chief, our fire chief, to make sure those things would not happen again with the policies and the procedures that we have in place that we can control. So it's not about will to do, it's about what we could do in that moment.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. So we are now moving into some questions that came in through registration, as well as, I think we have a card, and did we have any online? I'm not sure if we have one online. Okay. First question, this one is directed to City Council. Washtenaw County has directed millions in ARPA and community priority funds to local nonprofits with little public reporting on outcomes. What would you do on council to increase oversight of how those funds are used once they leave the county's hands? We can start with, let me see, who did we start with last time? Was that Mr. McLean? Let's start with Mr. Foley and work our way down. Thank you.
I took a leave of absence for the nonprofit organization I'm a member of for this purpose, because there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of uninformed information, and there's a lot of attacks on what people do not know. There is oversight on all nonprofits on that money. Trust and believe me on that. And the University of Michigan, I don't want to call it the School of Social Work, so there was a separate entity to make sure that those monies were accounted for. I see heads nodding out here. Every dime was accounted for. Now, I can only speak for what I know, but what I can say is this right here. There was oversight, and I mean up in people's crawl to make sure every penny went where it say it was allocated and to go for, and make sure it was spent properly. The University of Michigan and Washtenaw County has a report on that. I have it. Anybody want to see it that's in here, they're more than welcome to see it. I don't know if I can put in the excuse me for over talking, but if I can put into a chat for anybody want to access of it, they can go look for themselves. Matter of fact, I'm gonna pull it up and have it ready. Sorry about that.
I'm going to speak in more general terms. I think didn't touch it, I swear. Testing, there we go. You know, oversight is always critical, and sometimes I've cast votes because I don't think there is adequate oversight mechanisms in place for certain programs. So I would say this: any kind of program that city provides money for, there should always be a budget or some understanding of what the money is going to be spent for. There should always be a work plan. There should always be reporting requirements, and we should be checking up to make sure that all of those things are happening. And if they're not happening, then we should be asking questions, and that's part of our oversight role. So anything that we do, my background is in a lot of budgeting, and the devil's in the details. So understanding exactly how dollars have gotten spent in any particular project, there should always be that oversight.
I would definitely require oversight and reporting when that amount of money is being divvied out. I also would require, I know, again, I spoke about going to neighborhood associations and different meetings around the city of Ypsilanti. One thing that I would require is that maybe it's even community conversations where those how the money was used, those conversations are had with the public. Those that maybe can't access or can't understand, can't understand a report that comes out. Because I know, being a part of some of these neighborhood associations, I know we have asked some community members that are a part of some of these programs to come in and talk about what they do in the community and how that money was utilized. And I know some agencies have chosen not to come. So I think it should be a requirement, and reporting should be widespread, not to, easily accessible for everyone. Thank you.
We got everybody? Okay, thank you. We have several questions that have come in. We want to try to ask at least a few more of them. I'm sorry. They already answered that one. Yeah, that one's done. So I'm going to just pull at random here, and we'll just kind of go back and forth. The first question, let me see, and this is going to the mayor and mayoral candidates as well as city council, and it is, there has been a rise in Islamophobia in Ypsilanti and Washtenaw County. What will you as mayor and or city council do to keep all people safe and create a sense of belonging in our communities? And I will throw the flag up and let anybody start. It looks like you want to start. Can you clarify the timestamp? Oh, sorry. Timestamp for these, we're going to do 60 seconds.
Ypsilanti is a very diverse community with a large Muslim population, and if we are not supporting our Muslim community members, then we are not supporting residents here. And so I am concerned about rise in Islamophobia and that we've seen recently, and also, through the last 25 years, honestly. So it is something that we need to work to actually meet with groups that are being impacted to understand what is actually happening, so we can actually attend to those issues. But I just want to shout out that there's probably some folks in this room that are in the community, and that the city does care about those issues, and we want to work together to address them. So we have a very large Palestinian population in Ypsilanti. It's not talked about, but we have several businesses that are owned and run by Palestinian business owners, and it is a great pride, I think, of our community that we have always represented some of the most marginalized communities across the globe, and we've been on the forefront of pushing for change.
Yeah, I think I would continue to do what I've always done, which is be open and welcoming to all. And holding space for all, whether, no matter the background. I think, in recent years, I've spent time in meetings that have brought different communities together to try to find common ground, to try to repair damage that has been done in our community, because we see it, and it's despicable that folks are alienated and marginalized based on race, gender, religion. And so that would be the goal, to continue to do that, to continue to support the businesses in our communities, and to create a space where everyone feels welcome to lift their voice and show up and share what's needed for them as well as their communities in Ypsilanti, because Ypsilanti is diverse, and that is one of our strengths and our pillars.
This question is for you, Mayor, so just hang on to the mic. In this upcoming term, what do you plan to accomplish that may not have been accomplished in the past term?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, one of the things is to hopefully have a shovel in the ground on Water Street. This has been an issue in our community for over 30 years. I think I may have been in elementary school when that property was purchased, and still there is nothing there. And so right now, with the collaborations between myself and some of our state and federal legislators, we were able to pull down millions of dollars to help remediate that space to get it redevelopment ready. It is a brownfield, meaning that it will always be considered contaminated, but it can be brought up to par and expectation for development. And so we have a group right now who are thinking about the community benefits, so we can release a request for questionnaire to potential developers, to hopefully have developers come to us, whether that means developing the entire site, portions of the site, and to maintain green space, but also to build housing. We know, I think this is not a secret amongst any of the folks up here, that we need more housing. And so hopefully Water Street will be the next place, our largest property that remains, for us to build some mixed use housing, and also increase the tax base in Ypsilanti.
Thank you.
Would you? Yes.
So, but a mayoral candidate.
I know. What would you do in your?
Yeah, what I do in a mayoral office, we're going to build the permanent shelter. We are going to create the unarmed community responder program and launch those things. I also want to mention from the last question that before I was on council, I brought a ceasefire resolution that brought out hundreds and hundreds of people on the issue of the genocide in Palestine. And so I also believe that in a mayoral capacity, we need to look at our investments in the city and divest from the genocide. I've created a tenants' rights committee. That committee is going to be looking at policies on how to support the 70% of renters that are in our community. That is 70% renter households. So we need to start looking at policy changes like tenant right of first refusal and just cause eviction and junk fee ban and all these different things to improve the conditions so that our powerful landlords don't have such a stranglehold on all of our residents. So many things to do together. I look forward to working with the community.
So that was the mayoral questions. This is a city council question. This is for Ward 1, though. So for Ward 1 council candidates, if elected or re-elected, how do you plan to work with other Ward 1 council persons to ensure Ward 1 issues are addressed? It's only one Ward 1 council person, so.
It's 2.
Is it 2? Okay,
Okay.
go for it.
So one way that I would work with another Ward 1 council member is, first I need to say, I am the council member that pushed to have a retreat so we all could work better together, because I seen it was some inconsistencies in how we were working. I seen that I felt personally like when I came to the table, sometimes I was treated differently, or that my voice did not matter because maybe I don't sound like everyone else. So I thought pushing for a retreat would be a great place to start, so we can all understand that everybody has something to bring to the table. So I will continue to ask for retreats. I will continue to try to meet with my partner, whoever my Ward 1, well, we know who it is. I will continue to try to meet with Councilmember Tucson on issues that are pressing here in the city of Ypsilanti, especially in Ward 1.
Okay, thank you so much. We are ready. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Bryan.
That's okay. How would I work? I will continue. First of all, prayers going out to Councilperson Roland Tucson. He was in an accident. He got banged up a little bit, and he's okay though. So I want to get that out there first. But how would I work with, if elected, to Ward 1? Same way I have been. Been working with Roland since he's been elected and prior to. So I will continue to work with him and making sure that the best interests of the city of Ypsilanti come forth, in particular in Ward 1. The entire Ward 1 was consist of 3 precincts, not just precinct number 1, which is commonly identified as the south side of Ypsilanti, right? But the entire ward, and that's how we'll work with them. Be open-minded, consistent, and continue to work as we've already been doing now.
This one isn't a rebuttal one. This is just the questions from online. Ready? Now we're gonna get down to it.
This is our last question. Okay, and thank you, congregation, for coming to support and for your patience. We did tell you up front that we would be running over a little. And of course, afterwards, you will have an opportunity to talk to the candidates alone. All right, this is very, very important question, and you have probably not been asked this question before. So, and especially given the climate that we're in for such a time as this, we have to be real careful when we make decisions about who we want to represent us. So it is important to us to know your heart, to know what is your jumping off point, what is your North Star, whatever it is that guides you as a human being, especially into service for humanity. So we want to hear a little differently at this point. What is it that gets you up in the morning and gets you excited about serving the people of Ypsilanti, serving the people in your ward, and just doing what you were called to do? And this is for everybody. This is for all of you, so whoever so will. You want to start here, and then, okay. All right.
What gets me up in the morning is God. I attend church every Sunday. I pray. And aside from that being what leads me, I think it's my commitment to our young people, to our aging population, to my neighbors. When I have folks who come to me and say something that I was a part of changed their life, or help them stay housed, or help them keep their children in their home, that's what guides me every single day. So I want Ypsilanti to be somewhere that anyone who wants to be here can be here, who wants to live here can live here, to thrive here. And I think I'm led by the Spirit. Thank you.
It's the people of Ypsilanti that motivate me. This community has helped me become who I am today. I found myself to be loved and supported here when I moved here. And it's meant so much ever since then. And hope is another thing for me. I feel like we are up against so many different, major problems in the world, but that Ypsilanti residents always put the extra mile forward. They always do a little bit more. They always push a little bit harder. And so it's the hope that when we come together that we can actually, take on these gargantuan tasks is what brings me to life every day and brings me to the role. And I have lost time, so I'll end there. Thank you so much.
What gets me up every morning is God. And I give high praise to that power I choose to call to God that keeps me in my right mind and keeps me clean just one day at a time. That's what gets me up every single day and motivates me to do what I'm at. I didn't always live the lifestyle that I'm living right now, and there's no shame about that. But it's through those lived experiences that give me the ability to be empathetic and truly understand what is going on out there. When it was first told to me when I got engaged in this work years ago, when they told me there were homeless people in Ypsilanti, I didn't believe there were homeless people in Ypsilanti. I just seen people out and about until I started getting involved in the schools and getting around and seeing people who were unsheltered, women who had nowhere to go, men who had nowhere to go. And through those relationships that I built over the years, right, I was able to get people placed where they wanted to be and I get access to that. So I've gotten a little bit of moved up a little bit, but I'm not going to turn on my back on what God brought me out of.
We get one chance here on Earth, and my plan has always been to make the most of that. But it's taken me a while to come to that, but I came from a family of educators and a mother who was a joiner and a reader and who I think trained me well and taught me to say yes to service whenever I could do something to help other people. I remember the 7th grade in Mrs. Martin's class, and she decided over Christmas we were going to go visit the old folks' home. And to be honest, as a young kid, I was kind of afraid of that. What are we going to see? A bunch of old, sick people. Well, that's me now. But, I went there and I realized how little I could do that would make such a difference. Just talking to someone, the smiles on those people's faces, it has stuck with me until today. And realizing that doing a little something for somebody else is far better than receiving your own gift. But it's the gift that someone else can give you.
Of course, God is what gets me up every day. But what gets me motivated about serving my community is knowing that I have made a difference, knowing that I have brought people to the table that otherwise have not come to city council meetings, that have not participated with civic engagement. That is what gets me up. I recently reached out to residents for someone to join our Yucca committee. I reached out to so many residents because I wanted Ward 1 to have a representation. Why? Because Ward 1, we have the most bills that are unpaid from Yucca. We did have someone join the board. Not only did they join the board, they took a tour immediately. I was able to go on that tour with them, and I appreciated the amount of information that resident left with, and I appreciated that she is going to share that information with the rest of the community, and more so just her being involved in this process where beforehand she was not. Thank you.
Thank you to all the candidates, and thank you to the audience. As we are getting ready to close out, I'm going to give you all a lightning round of 30 seconds to close out. And the question for closing is, what do you want voters to remember about you when they mark their ballot? And let's start at this end with Ms. King, and we'll come around all the way down.
What I want voters to remember about me is that I'm just like you all. I am a mother. Currently, I'm a single mother of 5. I have been in many different situations in life, but I have continued to push forward. Even when people thought I shouldn't be here, I continue to fight and make sure that my voice is heard. I have supported $50,000 to repair Park Ridge Softball Park. I have supported that. I have partnered with Michigan Works in the Summer Works program, supported RX Kids, and thank you.
I want people to remember about me that I'll be there and I'll listen. I have coffee hours every Sunday and listen to people and listen to the needs of the community, and my plan is to continue to do that. One of the things that we didn't get to talk about, but I would mention is that has come out of some of that is the need for a forestry program, and that's something that I was able to include in the budget recently for a whole host of reasons we don't have time to talk about right now. So I appreciate people that came out today. I appreciate all of you. Appreciate those who organized this event, and thank you for your public service.
Yeah, real quick. Thank you for everybody who organized this. What I would like for people to remember about me is just, one of my mottos is, look at the receipts. You don't have to look far. All you got to do is look. The same dedication that I gave to this community, to this city, as an unelected official, I'll be doing just the same, if not more, as an elected official. I have the receipts. So what I'm saying is that what you've seen me do, I'll be doing that same thing as an elected official. That's what I like what people remember about me.
That I'm very serious about my campaign commitments and my commitments to justice and my commitments to liberation. I want to use this last bit of time just to mention that I was in Baltimore last week to learn about different policy changes, and I don't know if people are familiar with Brandon Scott, but he had this 5-year violence prevention plan in Baltimore that has had such significant strides in reducing community violence, from halving gun-related violence, and that is my time, but I really appreciate you all for being here, and if you want to talk about more of these topics, please find me after this.
Yeah, I think that we've heard a lot of ayes today in this forum, even though nothing can be done in isolation. So I want you to remember that. To remember that over the last several years, we've done a lot of things together as a community, and I want to continue doing that. That I don't show up in the community only when it's election time. I'm in every part of this community every single day, not just where I'm comfortable, not just with who I'm comfortable with. I will listen. I will continue to be a partner, a consensus builder, a collaborator. I have the track record that shows that's the work I will do, so I hope to earn your support on August 4th. Thank you.
So we want to thank everyone, and can we please give all of our candidates a round of applause? So, and thank you again for your time today, and thank you to the audience just for being engaged. The number of questions was absolutely amazing, and we want you to remember to vote in the primaries. Don't wait, vote, okay? And so we want to do a little something to thank all of you for being here today. I'm going to toss it over to Reverend Dolberry because she's got a little something extra.
Yes. Our token of appreciation, we can't give everybody one of these. So, Rhonda, excuse us for a minute. All right, we worked that out. We built consensus. Okay, so whoever's birthday is closest to today or today. And listen, Brown Chapel and Bethel people, you are excluded because we are hosting. Okay, God bless you, we love you. So whoever's birthday is today or closest to today, raise your hand. Congratulations. We have a $25 gift card for you. And happy birthday, blessings. All right. Whose birthday? Okay, today. All right. Special. Okay. And so the second gift card goes to the person whose birthday is either August 4th or near, no, you're excluded, or near August 4th. August 4th, what date is that? Primary, yeah, August 4th. Who's close to August 4th? What? In August? Anybody in August? So 7/28? 7:30, you closest. Thank you. All right. November 4th, whose birthday is closest? Is that your birthday? Oh, all right. Happy birthday. We are a church family that believes in generosity, so we hope you appreciated that little generosity. And I'm going to hand it over to my co-chair, and she's going to finish.
Okay, so again, I want to thank everybody. The candidates that I think we may have one or two that might not be able to stay, but I'm hoping everybody can stay just for a little bit. If you want to go into the fellowship hall, we do have some snacks, some water, and some nourishment so that you can get a little something to nosh on before you make your way through the day. And if you haven't been down, go and enjoy the art fair. All right. Oh, and, well, we're not done. One more thing. Oh, if you want to reach out to the candidates, the QR code up there will drive you directly to the candidates' email addresses. So if there were questions that were not answered today, or if you have questions in the future, the candidates have graciously allowed us to provide their email addresses so that you can reach out to them after the forum as well. And I'm going to let our pastor close us out. Pastor Talia.
You all are beautiful. You are a wonderful demonstration of what community is to be. So thank you all for coming into this space. I hope and pray that you received insight and information so that you can have clarity about the decision that you've been chosen to make. You've been chosen to make a decision. Several decisions. So as you make the decisions, let me offer you what guides me, the scriptures. Colossians chapter 3, verse 12 and 14 says, "Clothe yourself in tender-hearted mercy, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Make allowance for each other's faults, and forgive anyone who might offend you." Because remember, you needed forgiveness. Above all, clothe yourselves in love. Everybody say love. Because that binds us all together in harmony and unity. All right, let's pray. So God, you are real, good, and present, even in this moment. And so we ask that you would be our guide in whatever form that you exist in the hearts and minds of those who've gathered, that you would guide us towards this ideal of unity and community. All these candidates have submitted themselves to this moment, and now we pray that you will guide them beyond this moment to cultivate community and unity, despite what happens on days that are designed for election, that you would guide us all to cultivate in our circles and in our sectors and in the community love and light and unity. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Will the members of Bethlehem Church just stand? We want to recognize you. Thank you. Dr. Brown here is part of their social action committee, and these social action committee, thank you. We appreciate your support. Thank you. We couldn't have done it without you. So you may proceed to the fellowship hall out this door and to the right. There's some snacks and there's some water. Thank you again for coming.